Good afternoon. My name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to talk about the collective energies this week. What a palaver. What a palaver I've had trying to almost set the scene. So I noticed last week that the fancy camera, mid-budget fancy camera that I'd invested in because the camera on my laptop wasn't really showing the cards very well, left a real background noise, a real humming, a real distraction. So this week I have connected my son's microphone to my computer. Now I didn't realise that in order to almost upgrade the sound that I'm working with, I would need to disable all the past influences. So the past cameras, the past headphones, the past microphones, all the background noise that was there. And that feels really poignant this week, that in order to upgrade, we do need to let go of the things that have served us up until this point, but that are almost standing in the way of what needs to come through now. So just pausing and taking a moment and really connecting to what may have got you this far, but what may now need to be let go of. So I can really feel this individually. In the next few days, I'm to have a procedure that I had done 10 years ago to look at my own internal health and, ironically, my root chakra, without going into too much detail. And preparation for this procedure does include getting rid of anything that might be in the way of the view that is needed in order to see what is going on. So today, with the whole setup, I decided to manually adjust my focus, what it was I wanted to be seen, and that didn't work. Actually, it was out of my control. The camera decided that I needed to see, that you guys needed to see whatever needed to be seen, basically. And then when it came to the sound, the only microphone that actually really works, as I mentioned before, is that of my son's. Very poignant, this close to the summer solstice in the UK, and obviously in the northern hemispheres as well, the solstice there. Really, really important to look at the language, the light language that we are now being gifted to use. So at first I debated whether to do a video for the collective this week, hence it being on Tuesday. And again, that feels relevant. Tuesday. It all comes down to choice. It's all in our perspective. You know, we can be shown all these things, but ultimately we decide what we focus on. Ultimately, we decide what we speak of and what we hear. And this has a huge impact on our surroundings. So I find it beautifully ironic that it is my son, the very thing that I created, but also the sun, the light, that is going to be used for this recording, that is going to be used in order to be heard. Is there anything else? Yes, today I didn't really feel, I almost felt as if I didn't have a role in talking about the collective because I didn't really feel that connected. I can feel that in my heart, actually. I can feel that collective energy in my heart, that lack of connection, feeling that things may not be relevant or just not resonating. And what we want to stress is that that doesn't mean you're not connected. That actually means that, you know, people come to us to give advice or opinions, but if they come to us from a place of their own stories, that is all we will receive. If we can step back from these, ours and those of others and surrounding us, and truly observe, not only are we connected, but we are connected to a vaster tale than the individual perspective. Is that not the collective energy? So with that in mind, I'm going to draw the tarot this week. And the deck that I am using, I'm just looking at my cat's mat, feed me meow. Now I'll get back to that, but the deck that I'm using is the Spellcaster's Tarot by Melanie Marquis. Felt really, really important to use that, important to look at the energy, but also what it is we are going to do with it this week in particular. It feels like there could be a lot of information coming in, but the ultimate knowledge, you know, we can have knowledge, which is understanding of things, and we can have wisdom, which is based on our actions and how we react to that knowledge. adding to this pool, adding to this pool of information. I want to say gene pool, but I don't know if something else will come up about that. So yes, it will. A lot of the stuff that I'm actually going through individually this week is related to inherent genes as well. So there is something to be seen there, looking at our ancestry beyond our physical ancestry here, but also deep down into our original blueprint. So now it's starting to come through. This morning on my time hop, I noticed that I'd posted something about Salka. Now, Salka is a Peruvian term, and it basically means our inner light. A lot of people call it our inner child or our inner wild, but it is the undomesticated version of ourself, that animal instinct of ourself, that light, that return to the innocence of who we actually are. Beyond the labels, beyond the jobs, beyond the relationships, beyond all of it. Our Salka is our undomesticated light. And when we start to lose focus with that, you know, like the sun references and the camera references, these are all messages. When we start to lose focus or manually try to adjust what it is we hear, what it is we see, and what it is we focus on, much as that can be more comfortable, more to the point, sometimes there are other aspects of ourselves that need to be highlighted. And that feels very poignant this week, to return to our inner Salka. So I'm looking at, as I mentioned, my cat's mat, and I will get to the cards, but I'm looking at my cat's mat, and now here why get to the cards. You know, the signs and synchronicities are everywhere. Cards are another way, another tool to interpret it when it gets a bit too much, or when we're trying to get clarity of the constant information that's coming in. And it's used by archetypes, it's used by a map that has worked for many. As always, this may not be the case for you, this may not resonate with you. Life and certain aspects of it may not resonate with you, and it is about trusting your own light, your own Salka, your own intuition this week in particular for the answers that it holds. So back to my cat mat. It has Feed Me Meow on it. Now, because of the procedure I'm going to go through from 2 o'clock onwards, I must watch the time because I like my tea. From 2 o'clock onwards, I'm not to have any food. I'm not to have any milk, anything like that. It has to be clear fluids, clear energy coming in. Now, the old me, I've been advised to have a low fibre diet. The old me would have loved this. This means all those things that aren't good for us, you know, all the breads, all the sugars, all the chocolates, all those things that we deny ourselves. But this morning, I've woken up. Human nature, we want what we can't have, but I've woken up craving fruit and vegetables and all these things that I'm advised not to have until after the procedure. Years ago, my diet dictated that I needed to eat healthy, that I needed to cut out certain things, alcohol, certain foods, that they weren't agreeing with my physical vessel. And at the time, I hated it. At the time, I really felt like I was being told what to do. You know, I wasn't having a life, you know, all of it. What was the purpose? Where's the fun? This morning, I realised the purpose, that actually my body does enjoy having these things that are healthy, that are good for me, beyond what I'm able to focus on. That actually, when I'm in sync, when I'm in alignment with what my body truly needs, regardless of my opinion of it, it works. So eating all this low fibre stuff at the moment has made me feel very tired. Another reason for the video not being done yesterday. In quite a bit of pain, actually, inflaming to all the things that my body no longer wants to work with, all the energies my body no longer wants to work with. So the excess fats and the sluggishness it takes to break down all these energies now. Just this week, really, 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 before releasing everything, look at how far you've come. Look at all the things that may have felt restrictive, that may have felt out of order or unnecessary, and really get to the bottom of what it is you've gained from them. Accepting them on all levels, on all of our bodies, energetically, physically, spiritually, emotionally, really accepting them in and what it is you've gained from them before we let them go. Because then we let go with gratitude and with release and with deep acceptance. So with that in mind, I'm going to have a quick of my tea. And I'm aware that the bottom of my cup says the word studio. Now, I'm not plugging any particular sales place, but it just feels very poignant, what with setting up the lighting and the microphone and the bottom of my cup saying studio, really looking at the stage that you're setting for the world and for your place in it this week. Impressive. Okay, so energies this week, please. It feels very grounded. There feels like a great opportunity to connect to the earth. And almost a full circle coming, a simplifying. Cliche as it sounds, a return of the light. And that can come obviously from the solstice, our end with the sun and the longest day, or even the northern hemisphere, because you know when we're in darkness, that's when the light can return too. So just allowing that light to return by really grounding into your own body this week, really grounding into the earth, really grounding into the divine feminine. And I hear coming home, coming home. I see almost the image of, I'm going to say it, naughty children. You know, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. And that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. We learn through experience. There's been many times I've kicked up, many times I've demanded that I want to eat what I want to eat and I want to do what I want to do. Many times when I've almost... been an activist for the sake of being an activist, because it's in me, it's in my nature. And sometimes it is about learning which battles really need looking at. You know, I know, looking back, the fighting of the healthy eating and everything else was actually a battle of self-worth. It was actually a battle of looking after myself now, nurturing myself. It was my way of holding back the divine mother within me, the divine feminine that wanted to care and nurture for me. So really looking at that this week, really holding space and acceptance and giving love to those parts of ourselves. This week, in my own daily guidance, what really came through was the fact I was wearing my mother's pearls, and I started to think of the analogy of the pearl and how they're so deep under the ocean, and they're made of grains of sand, sands of time, held under such pressure, you know, really restricted and held within this shell. And the shell is the symbolism of the Divine Mother. The shell is the symbolism of the womb, really held tight in there until the time was ready for them to be opened. Now that takes some deep diving. That takes some really going into our own vast ocean, be it emotion, psyche, the collective consciousness, and searching out those treasures. But it also takes an opening up to being in this space of depth, sacredness, being. Okay. I can feel that in my heart. I can feel so many hearts almost yearning to just be held. Right, the week's energies. And I feel that really in the top of my head, in the crown chakra. Immense energy trying to come through. And I'm looking at a light hanging on my bookshelf, and it's giving the reflection of stars. It almost feels like our star lineage trying to come through. Remember who you are. That's what I hear. Remember who you are. I'm looking at Crystal Power Tarot on my shelf now, and it is the power of the crystalline self. It is the power of obtaining the treasures that we get by being under pressure. Real upgrades this week of our own energy into the crystalline form. Okay, stop. Right. So, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, I'm going to do that. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, overall. At the bottom of the pack we do have the star card, so I just want to show you that. And if I could actually sum up this week's energies, and just put that to one side, oh wow, and then the world. If I could sum up this week's energies into one card, it would be this. This is what I'm feeling right now, that huge influx of energy trying to come in, that release, that also creating something new, all in one go. To do that, yes, we need the world card. To do that, we need to be grounded in who we are here. Really feeling that this week. So, it's almost like I have to remember what order things came in, and then I hear why. Why do you have to remember? Because the card for next Monday, but it feels relevant for the whole week, is actually the Nine of Wands, which is very defensive here, almost needing to know when things are coming, what order they're coming in, the work that we've done. And, you know, time is a man-made concept. It's a man-made concept. So this morning on my own time hop, I woke up to realise that 8 years ago today, I'd dreamt of a pandemic affecting the world. And yes, that is where we are right now. Things happen when they need to happen. And if I'd spent my time 8 years ago questioning too much what that dream was and when it was going to happen and all that kind of thing, I would have got really caught up in that energy. So again, it's about having that awareness, listening to the messages, doing what you can in that moment, and then letting the rest go. Now that is poignant for Monday, but again, it feels very relevant for the whole week and for time itself. So for Tuesday, when I was shuffling the deck and all these messages were coming in and it was like, just stop. I'm not surprised today to see the Emperor. Okay, that chance to say, do you know what? Stop. There's only so much I can do at once. You can hardly see him. There we are. Thank you. So even though this card is the Emperor, the deer, the stag always remind me of the divine feminine. Okay, always reminds me of that strength, that patience, that beauty, but also the grace to walk with it, the grace to know when to act and when to be. And this is the Emperor. So you can see there behind him, the past almost in flames. Yeah, total transformation, total what many would see as loss. And he has crops right by him that could very easily get set alight. But he isn't panicking. He sat there. He knows that all will be well. Okay, now what I also do see, the other side of this is almost like a blind faith. So it is about keeping that balance today in particular. Yes, all may be well, but there may be a journey of transformation in order for that to be so. Okay, so keeping that balance, doing what you can in each moment, protecting that which needs protecting and letting go of the rest. So for the Wednesday, the Eight of Pentacles, and I speak of protection, and there we have, you really there we have the animals almost being protected here by this individual from all the work that has been done, you know, using the things that we have gained on the Wednesday to cope with whatever it is that comes up. Now, I can feel the relevance of that because that's the day of my procedure, which had particularly, just some intense, I want to say activations, and it was activations from 10 years ago, but it's taught me so much that tomorrow I will take that wisdom into the theatre with me, into the studio with me, into that arena almost. Wednesday feels very relevant, that everything that you have done has gifted you the ability to cope with whatever it is that is coming up right now. On the Thursday, we have the Sun card. Now, a bit of sunshine would be nice. But again, it's that light, isn't it? You can see that she is, well, I say you can see, I don't know if you can see. She is weaving. She is weaving with the light. She is weaving the stories that will be told for her children. She is creating that world on the Thursday in particular. And I feel some confusion, and the confusion almost comes from being stood in different timelines and almost feeling like we need to pick one. Weaving through them all the stories are interconnected, and it's finding the one light that goes through them now that you wish to create for future generations. It's our Salka. The Sun card definitely speaks of our innocence, of our inner world, of our childlike energy, our purity, our Salka, really connecting to that Thursday. On the Friday, there wanted to be 2 cards, and I ignored it. I ignored it and ultimately did go back to picking those 2 cards for the Friday. You know, it's almost like there's 2 sides to this story on the Friday, and we can want to almost ignore it and just take our version with the 7 of Wands here, you know, and just move forward with that, trampling on the ideas and beliefs of others. But the other card for the Friday is the 6 of Swords. Okay, so it is knowing on the Friday that it is our ideas that have helped us move forward, and that everybody has the opportunity to gain their own information to do this. Okay, so really keeping that balance on the Friday of knowing that your path has built up these endurances and gifted you this spirit, but that others have their journey too. Not getting too caught up in almost pushing our ideas and our path onto others, but holding space, knowing that it was the finding of answers for ourselves that helped us to move forward, and respecting that everyone has the right to that on the Friday. On the Saturday, the Queen of Swords, and I just love how the Queen of Swords almost mimics the energy of the beginning of the week. It's like that's when we step into the Emperor that we are. You know, we have the bulls there on both sides, and that's what I feel like saying. I've actually swapped their position, but having the bulls on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to stand in your own truth. You know, sometimes we can get quite distracted by the journey of others because it has a secondary gain to it. All the time we're distracted, we don't have to move forward in our own truth, and all things come full circle. The last part of that is by actually walking our talk, and she's not quite ready to walk yet, but she's very comfortable in it on the Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yes, I have to really keep reminding myself almost what day I'm on. And right now I'm on Tuesday. And again, that feels relevant. Every day is a day to make a choice of how we see the world, of who we are in the world, of the world we're trying to create. Every moment we have that opportunity. It takes balls. It does, of either side. You know, the Emperor and the Queen of Swords both have the bull by their side, and it does take that. It does take great courage to seek for the treasures in the deep depths of what can appear very dark. It does take great bravery and great strength to hold space for the things that need to come to the surface, you know, and to seek out our own truth. On the Sunday, yes, we have the Strength card. And you can see that. So all that feels really relevant on the Sunday, I say all, just a small thing. All that feels really relevant on the Sunday is that you can see the strength, that you can see underneath everything that is going on, and the individual, collective, and your own strength, which would include patience, which would include knowing that that light, that fire of transformation is at the end of that path, which would include almost taming the savage beast within, going back to that energy of picking our battles now. So on this strength card, it's the first one I've seen. You know, this one's got a snake. They normally have a salamander on the strength card, or a horse, or a lion. Now on this one, there's actually a frog. I don't know if you can... I'm turning it upside down. On its way to the fire. Can you see that frog? And one waiting as well. So the frog is a creature that can go on both land and water. A creature that can be grounded but also emotional and be at comfort and at peace with this. And you have the serpent that sheds the skin, the transformation that can come from being grounded in our own emotions on the Sunday. Feels very poignant. It's going to show us our strength regardless. That feels very emotional, personally and collectively, regardless of the mountains that seem like they are in front of us. It is knowing we have that light of transformation in our hands. We have that strength, the ability to be naked and raw in our emotional intelligence Sunday. So the energy overall is the Seven of Pentacles. And I love how the animals have presented themselves in these cards in particular. They're almost in every card, okay? But the Seven of Pentacles shows that dog that needed protecting on the Wednesday, the animal instinct that needed protecting, rested, settled now, and great growth occurring because of this. You know, we listen to our emotions. We go into them. We discover what it is they are trying to say to us. And that in itself brings great peace and great growth with that. So overall, the energies, as I mentioned, are the Star and the World card collectively. And that really, as I say, feels like what's trying to come in this week in particular. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcanas this week, 5 fate moments, 5 universal inputs, if you will, and 5 is the point of change. We are in June. We are halfway through the year, through the 5 Hierophant year, and the second half of this year feels really about what it is we now do with the lessons that we have discovered. How do we take them and move forward? This week feels like quite a big and actually a completion and a restart all in one go. Minor Arcana 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You couldn't write this. Let me just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 minor arcana. So we're ready. We're ready on an individual, collective, human level. We are ready for this change. This is what we've actually been asking for. So our place here, our lineage, our light, this is what we have been asking for, and we are ready for this change. 5 speaks of change. Again, really reflecting on our actions. What are we doing every time we focus on something? What are we doing every time we speak? What are we hearing? What are we creating here? So the minor arcanas that we have are 1, 2, 2, 2. Okay, so we have 2 pentacle cards here. Beautiful balance, beautiful physical balance. My tummy went then. Needs being met, hungers being acknowledged and met at the level that they're ready for, and that feels important, at the level that they're ready for. Okay, there's a big difference between physical hunger and greed, and this week feels very particularly about figuring out that balance for us. What do we actually need now? And that will be met. And then what do we need? And that will be met. And then what do we need? That will be met. It feels like a real 0 point moment again, to be really present. What do we need in this moment? Because it's ultimately part of the bigger plan anyway. So what do we need now? That's what will give us the balance. That's what will help us grow from the 7 to the 8. Beautiful. We have 1... Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, there are 6 minor arcanas. The balance. I just saw the Queen of Swords just hiding underneath the strength. So really, 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 in order to find that harmony, finding that line within us, that alignment within us, that strength within us. So we have 2 sword cards. Now, when I look at the 2 sword cards, it's almost like my eyes feel blurry. The classic 2 of swords, it's almost like I feel quite blinded. And when I close my eyes, all I can see is the light of the camera that has been shining on me. So this week, if things aren't quite in your vision, if things can be, in regards to how to move forward now, if things feel blurry, close your eyes. Find that light, that inner guidance this week to move you forward. And there are 2 wand cards, which is just beautiful, real balance there of the minor arcana. And it's the 7 of wands and the 9 of wands. Now, I do notice that the one element that is missing this week is water. The world card, yeah, she's covered in it. Absolutely covered in water. The star card, she has that water there. But on a minor arcana level, maybe not so much. She has a little bit there. She's crossing the waters in the 6 of swords, and it's raining in the 8 of pentacles. So the water is around us. The emotions are around us. But with the 7 and 9 of wands, what I really feel here is to almost, like the clam, like the shell with the pearl, open to the waters within us, open to our emotions, open to the collective consciousness. Give it what it needs rather than pointing out what it doesn't have. This week in particular, really nurturing not only ourselves, but everything that is going on around us. Is there anything else? And that's what I'm being asked. Is there anything else other than nurture, other than love? What else do we actually need? Take care, and I'll see you next week.